Hey everybody, this is Brian Boyle, and welcome to episode 57 of The Mesh Tongue. And welcome to another day. Today's Sunday, so hopefully you are doing well. Hopefully, if you had a race yesterday, you had a good time. If you're racing today, there's races all over the country. Hopefully again, you did well. And leave your comments below. See how we did. Leave those race results. Leave the the good, the bad, the ugly. Tell us if you didn't have a great day. Those are things that you can learn from and you can share with others. And maybe we can all help you improve for the next time, or help you kind of figure out what went wrong. That's how you learn. So today I want to talk to you about hydration and why is hydration so important. Now, one of the things that I always had a problem with early on in my career was staying hydrated, was drinking water without getting that cramping, that side stitch, if you will. I could never do it, or seemingly thought I couldn't do it. So I can't tell you how many years I ran before I finally started drinking water. Probably almost 7 or 8, and these were 7 or 8 competitive years. This was through high school and then also in college, before I would go out and actually take water with me on a long run. Now, it was imperative as I started moving up from the 5K, 10K, up to halves and marathons to actually get those fluids. But I still think there's a lot of you that aren't doing it. I think there's enough of us that are having issues or have had issues that it warrants talking about it here today. So, what am I talking about when getting water? It's not enough to just get enough water before you go out and run, and say, all right, I drank, 3 Gatorades today. I'm going to go out and run, and then I'm going to find some bushes, or porta potty along the route to go pee. It's more about actually consuming the hydration or the fluids while you're out there. So, what am I talking about? They say for about every 15 minutes of exercise, you should be consuming roughly 8 ounces of fluids. Now, how many of you are actually getting 8 ounces of fluids? So that means if you're going out for a 1-hour run, okay, say it's a really, really hot day, it's a 1-hour run, are you out there actually getting 32 ounces of fluids during your run? And if you are, that's great. You guys, you're probably in the top percent of people that are actually doing this. Most of us go out for an hour run, say, I could get away with it. Maybe there's folks that go out for a 2-hour run, might stop at a water fountain along the way. Even folks on a 1-hour run might stop at a water fountain along the way and think that they're getting enough. The downside of this is that if you get done with your run and you're feeling tired, you're feeling fatigued, you've got this mental fog, that's probably one of the best signs of dehydration. You can measure yourself and say, all right, how much weight have I lost after a run? But probably the best thing to do is kind of check in with yourself and say, how do I feel? Okay, so one of the easiest things to do is kind of take a small water bottle with you. Put it in a fanny pack or a kind of a hip holster. There's all sorts of harnesses now and rigs that you have that you can put these small water bottles in, and get your hydration. It's about a 12-ounce water bottle, so this would be about every for a half-hour run. You'd be all right with something that small. The downside of it is if you're not getting that water, again, your muscles aren't primed, they're not ready. You're going to be fatigued, you're not going to get the best benefits out of your run. Also, if you don't train to drink, when you get to these longer races, it's going to be that much more difficult, and you're going to be really disappointed with your results when you haven't had something to drink, or when you're trying to consume water. Now, how many of you have actually taken these water bottles, okay? You're training with this, training with this, training with this. It's a nice pour spout, okay? Great, you can plug it in, all right? You see, the professionals get these in their races, don't you? They all have their own assigned water bottle. They'll check them, pick them up. And then the rest of us get something like this, a big wide mouth. It's not always a blue Solo cup, but it feels just about that big when you're trying to consume and you're running and you've got this entire water spout down, all right? Most of those cups at the races are about 8 ounces. That's what you should be consuming, but how much of it actually gets in your mouth versus going down the front of your race singlet and bib? You gotta train in your training for what you're going to use in your races. Okay, you've got to practice these things. So one of the things that I like to tell people, and I myself did, was I would stop at the water stations. Okay, you can fold the cup. All right, make sure that you've got the mouth here. All right, stop, consume all of the water, take off. I've done plenty of races with that, and the people that I was running with, very easy to catch up with in a tempo style run. No loss of energy, no loss of consumption. Again, you've practiced tempo runs before you've made it through. Okay, if you haven't, you should. All right, but the key was to get the water. Most of the people that I noticed when I was running competitively that did not stop or took the kind of the gulp, had everything down, or dumped the water on their head and kept running, all right, I noticed that if I stopped and I consumed the full 8 ounces, I actually not only ran faster than them towards the end of the race, but I ended up beating all of them, okay, and hence the running faster. But some of them actually dropped out. Okay, I was able to maintain pace. It wasn't a struggle. I wasn't, trust me, I've had plenty of those races. But the reality of it is that some of these things were actually, when I took the time and I learned to take the time to consume the water, all right, I always ended up feeling much better. I didn't have as much post-race, very easy for me to say, post-race weight loss. All right, that's one way to gauge how much water you've lost, and I didn't have the recovery issues from that. So another hint, okay, if you're not practicing with cups during your training runs, all right, stop, take the water, pick it back up, find out, look ahead, see where those folks are. Chances are they're just a little ways ahead of you. Go catch up with the group that you were running with. Okay, don't worry about it. That if you're not in the elite level of runners, because nobody really wants to race with these. And especially if you're running a marathon, there's no way that you could possibly carry enough water. Another option, for depending on the race length and distance, okay, is taking your Camelback. All right. This is one that I've used. That I use this for other things. That's hence the neoprenes, because we use this for skiing. But having the mouth piece where you can just kind of suck on this thing, okay, and get your water. This is probably better for like a desert environment or something like an ultra race where you're going to be out. You want your hands free. Maybe you're using trekking poles, or maybe it's just hot and you don't necessarily mind the additional weight. So this particular one is a 2-liter bag that I've used. I'll tell you what, I used this in a race for a relay race down in southern Utah about 4 years ago. Hopped out of the van. The temperature in the van that the thermometer was reading was 114 degrees outside. Blacktop temperature was probably in the 130s. I had a 5-mile leg. At altitude, I was able to run an 8-minute mile pace by sucking on the entire 2 liters of water. Okay, literally had this thing in my mouth and just sipping on it the entire time. Held 8-minute pace. I had 3 people pass me about the 2-mile mark into this leg. Not a single one of them had any water with them. By the 2.5-mile mark, I had passed all of them again, and by the finish, I had no idea where they even were. I think they had all dropped out because of the heat. None of them were getting their hydration. So it's important. It's not even important, it's imperative. It's imperative that you have some sort of solution to get your hydration, especially in those hot races. That's crazy talk to go out into the desert, trying to run as fast as you can and not actually have any hydration, or waiting for somebody to come up in a van, in a relief thing every mile and try and hand you something to drink. Again, very easily solved with a mouthpiece coming off the Camelback. So, what should you be consuming? Again, hydration is important, but you do run the risk, if you're not getting some carbohydrates in there, of going into hyponatremia. Hyponatremia is where the body pushes all of the sodium out. Sodium is really, really important for the body. Okay, it is one of the essential electrolytes, so that's why, if you're looking at Gatorades and some of the Powerades and all that other stuff, they all have sodium in it. It's an essential piece to that. But again, you'll go to these major races and you'll try and figure out who their sponsor is. Is it Powerade? Is it Gatorade? Is it, whatever? And it may be different from what you've been using. So sometimes what I would do is I would go for the gels. Okay, take a gel with you. The gels have the electrolytes. They've got simple carbohydrates. You can safety pin those into the inside of your pants pocket, just the tops, so you can rip the top off. Take the gel, you get to the water stop, so right before you see the water stop, just ahead of you, okay, you're running, you got maybe a 1/4 mile, you rip the goo or the gel, you pop that, okay, and it's got this nice syrupy, effect. You store it in the side of your cheek here. All right, get up, get the water, soak the water, let it drink, get the carbs, take off again, okay, so that you're not having to rely on maybe an upset stomach from a different flavor of Gatorade or Powerade than you were particularly used to. And that's important, you know. Maybe if you're just trying to finish the race, you're not as concerned about that. But if you're really going for a PR, you're looking to qualify for Boston, that's going to be really imperative for you that you actually have the same thing that you're training for. So those goos and gels, you can keep those with you. Find the water. All right. If if you want to train yourself to actually start taking the goos and gels, because they can be, again, the flavor of them can be absolutely awful. What you're in the early stages, what I would do is I would put sugar. So take a tablespoon of sugar and add it to 16 ounces of water. So you can actually do 2 tablespoons. That would be each tablespoon is equivalent to about 48 calories, okay, or about 12 grams of sugar. And so if you have 2 tablespoons, you've got about 24 grams of sugar, which is a pretty good amount, and the enough calories there to get you for every hour, especially for your early training runs. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that something like that can start you off. You can stage that, say, okay, I'm done 2 weeks on sugar water. My stomach's at least getting used to that. Now I'm going to move to the gels or the goos, those sorts of things. Those little bricks, those gel shots, as they call them. You can try those, but again, you've got to sometimes condition your stomach to that. So hopefully you found some value in this. Again, I try and make it so that you train everything as close to your race day as possible. For those folks that aren't racing but still want to go out and get their long runs in, I encourage you, make sure that you're staying hydrated. Don't go out for a 3-hour run or a 4-hour run or a 5-hour run, without some sort of thing that would be able to replace your hydration. It's really tough for you folks that are going out for 4.5, 5-hour marathons to stay not only hydrated but also keep enough calories in. You figure that if you're running like a 10-minute mile, anywhere between 10-minute miles and say 5.5-minute miles, you're going to be burning anywhere between 500 to 1,000 calories or more each hour. So to multiply that by how many hours you're out, okay, and you figure, all right, if I'm burning 500 calories, well, that's 2,500. If I'm burning 1,000 calories and I'm out for 3 hours, that's still 3,000 calories that you need to replace. And so the more you can get in during that training run or your race, the better off you're going to be. So, this is Brian Boyle. This is episode 57 of The Mesh Tongue. I appreciate all of the emails. Keep those comments and questions coming into me. I'm getting these daily, so as I find things that are as appropriate to share, some people I'm just sending videos right back to. I'm sending an instruction sheet, but the ones that I feel are really important and that a lot of people are asking, seeing the same theme, I'm going to just start doing videos with, and I've been doing that, so I appreciate those. Keep those coming in, and keep the sharing going with your friends, your family, your training partners. But whatever you do, don't go hurting yourself to come back. Today is Sunday. This is Brian Boyle, episode 57, The Mesh Tongue. Check out runpainless.com. And whatever you do, don't go hurting yourself to come back. But we'll see you again tomorrow. All right, take care.